Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a good week. Now this week I've got a Renegade build and gameplay commentary for you guys here. Renegade is something that I've not featured too much on the channel, so hoping to kind of fill that gap. Renegade plays very much unlike most other rev specs, so it's a unique build, and looking forward to covering it for you guys here. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here is the build. I think the first person I saw running this was Shadowfall, so huge shout out to him. If you have not checked him out yet, you're missing out big time, so I'll link him somewhere. So this was kind of inspired by him, and I've kind of made some changes and ran with it a little bit. So Invocation, Salvation, Renegade. The Renegade trait lines are pretty locked in. You will not really want to do much changing of these. You can make some changes in Salvation based on your personal preference. You can take the Barrier, you can take the Protection. I prefer the Protection, but feel free to take the Barrier. It's not my cup of tea, but if you like it, you like it. And also in Invocation, you could take Song of the Mists, Charge Mists, or Roiling Mists, whatever you prefer. Berserker Amulet, Relic of the Wayfinder, Rune of the Dolyak. Put whatever rune on you like. I think something tanky works quite well because you have so much damage from the Renegade kit. But what you are lacking is movement speed, and that's where I like the Relic of the Wayfinder. There's nothing to give you movement in the Renegade kit, and so the Wayfinder Relic kind of covers that gap. You can swap to Zakharos, because one of the main sort of cruxes of this build is the lifesteal, and this just takes that and turns it up to 11 if you equip the Zakharos Relic, but then you'll be very slow. So trade-off, I think that the Wayfinder is the best all-rounder, but take your pick. And the other thing that Renegade is lacking is Conti Cleanse, so I just like cleansing and energy on both sets of weapons. So that is the build. Okay, let's get into the gameplay. Firstly, shout out to the enemy druid for saying hi. I'm not allowed to say your name on YouTube. I'd get smitten down, but thanks for saying hi. So Renegade, why would somebody want to play Renegade? Number one, it completely changes the style of Revenant from sort of a bursty assassin to maybe a long-range nuker. You can really have a lot of node presence, and you also give very good boons and buffs to your teammates. With your Soul Cleave Summit, you can give them Alacrity, you can give them Strong Might. It just changes the whole playstyle of Revenant, and for some people, that's exactly what they're looking for. For some people, like myself, that's the opposite of what they're looking for. I want to play Revenant, you know? I don't want it to be changed. So that's kind of why I'm not the biggest Renegade fan. The legend skills on Kala are also quite clunky. The Virtuoso, as you can see here, is pressuring me, so I use a little bit of line of sight. But the Kala skills need to have a valid path. You can't cast them down like a lot of other ground-targeted AoEs. They're a bit clunky. So it's a bit of a trade-off. I think that it is a fairly okay rev spec for a new player to learn the class on, learn energy management, that sort of thing. But it doesn't play quite the same as Herald and Vindicator with sort of their high damage assassin style of play style. So anyways, so we won that first team fight quite handily, which is great. I'm going to cover the home node from the druid here. This build actually functions quite well as a duelist. You have good presence in a team fight, but you can duel too, so it's a bit like Salvation Vindicator in that way. But you know what? I think that this build actually may even beat Salvation Vindicator one-on-one right now. But I get a plus from my teammate here, and so that kind of makes this duel no contest. The teammate plus is sort of the big cheat code. Any duel you ever want to win, all you need is a teammate to come and plus you. So this build does a lot of life steal, so you can stay alive and phase tank a lot of stuff, and you'll do a lot of healing. But look at this big long-range nuke. I do the Ice Razor Ire into the missiles, and check this out. I'm going to teach you guys a little secret that Deadeyes don't want you to know. See, the Deadeye puts his mark on me, and the secret is that they can only damage one person at a time, okay? So I see that he's got the mark on me, so what do? I break line of sight, and what's he going to do? He has no choice, but he has to reposition. And when he jumps down, what do? I break line of sight again. I jump up. And you can see he's shooting and shooting and shooting. He desperately wants to shoot me because he's got his mark on me. And look, he goes in stealth. He's going to pop out. And look, he's still shooting me, even though I've got teammates all around, but I am safe. I'm all the way up here. I'm safe, and my teammates descend upon him like a pack of dogs and give him a squish. So that's a little bit of a little tip on how you can deal with Deadeyes. Just keep in mind that they can only be damaging one person at a time. So if it is you that they are trying to do the damage to, survive. That is objective number one, is play around some terrain, play around some map geometry, and survive. So Ice Razor's Ire there is huge damage, and it immobes them, so it can really set you up for further damage. And you see, I'm not really playing like most other revs. You know, I can port in and do some damage, but it's not the greatest damage. What you really want to be doing is kind of pretending that you are almost like an elementalist with a hammer, almost like you're kind of raining down big AoEs, raining down big damage from afar. Like you see, I'm completely off of the node, but I'm laying down big damage with the hammer. I'm laying big damage down with Kala. The F3, the missiles raining from above. And meanwhile, I can give my teammates might and alacrity. Like, I could see this being quite an attractive build for the right person, but that person just happens to not be me, and that's okay. I play this from time to time, but it's just not the same. It doesn't feel the same as Herald and Vindicator. So I capped this node here because we won another team fight. And coming off of this, I'm just looking at my map. I've always got one eye on my map, and I'm deciding where to go. Do I go home? Do I go far? Now, check this out, fellow Revenant players. This is something you might not know. On Coliseum here, when there's fights at the side nodes, you can come here and then use phase traversal like that to port very, very, very quickly between the mid node and the side nodes. And so keep that in your arsenal. It's a very handy tool. The Druid uses CA5, so I need to get off of the node. And I'm 2v2, I've got a teammate here, so I put Soul Cleave Summit on the node, and that does two things, right? It increases our damage, and it gives us lifesteal. So it increases our damage and our sustain at the same time. So whenever you're in like a small scale fight like this, Renegade is amazing. It really buffs your teammate and keeps him alive, and yet you're still able to do big damage. I hit him with a big hammer too, and that gets the down on the Druid, and so we win this 2v2. So this is a spot where Renegade really shines, and as you can see, I can still pretend that I'm a an assassin. I can still jump in on people and secure kills just like that with this build. So, you know, this build is a good, true sort of all-rounder. You know, Herald can kind of run on a bit of a knife's edge, and this one has a little bit more, sort of, it's a little cushier, we'll say. It's got a little bit more sustain, a little bit more lifesteal and things like that that keeps you alive. So it's definitely a good build to play, and I would recommend it for anybody who's looking to learn Revenant, but maybe Herald's a little bit too hard, or Vindicator's a little bit too hard, or who knows, maybe you just really like this playstyle. So I see in the team chat, my Mesmer says Druid home, so I'm going to use my teleport trick again here on Shiro. I'm going to use my daggers, get ready, target him from over the wall, and then port in. It's a really quick way to make yourself a problem from afar. So you see behind me there's actually an enemy Mesmer. I'm kind of getting ready to use my shield block here, but my Mesmer puts a MOA on the enemy Druid, so I need to cancel that and quickly put some damage down, and so we're able to secure that kill. And a huge hammer 2 downs that Mesmer. So another really good, lucky team 2v2 there, and that was great. So I'm thinking I may do at some point a sort of community spotlight video where I may highlight some other Guild Wars channels that are I think underappreciated, underrated, like people who put good effort into their content but maybe aren't getting the appreciation that they deserve. Maybe a little bit of a shout out for them is in order. I know that I'm not some giant or anything. Like, my channel is still very new. I've only been doing this about 6 months, and it's still very small. There's only about 2,000 of us, but I think that there's some people out there that are making really good stuff, and it breaks my heart to see that they're not getting the recognition they deserve. So keep your eye out for that. Come in with the sword here, and I can use a huge long-range nuke with the Ice Razor's Ire, and then just hammer damage, and then the F3. Oh my goodness, you just have such huge node presence on this build. it's almost reminiscent of like Symbol Brand circa like 2019 or whatever, when they could just smack a bunch of symbols on the node and just kind of own a node. I'd imagine that this build would be quite strong in push. You know, you could just slap all this crap down on the payload. You're always looking out for low targets though, right? You can port in on the Deadeye and secure that kill real quick. But yeah, any node-based map, like it does quite well on Capricorn, where you're very much vying for the bell. I don't love it on Skyhammer because of the terrain. The terrain really makes the flaws of Kala apparent. You know, you really are looking to be casting your AoEs on top of stuff, and it oftentimes doesn't work. But that is the end of this game winding down. Thanks everybody for all the support as always. Just a quick and easy video this week because I've put a lot of time and effort into these last few weeks. Man, that last World video, that was like an hour and a half worth of footage I edited. But anyways, that's all for me. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week for who knows what. See ya.